Racist Karen calls cops on innocent black neighbor, accuses him of stealing new car. Introduction and hook asterisk asterisk. What would you do if your success was seen as suspicious simply because of the color of your skin? Imagine a brand new car becoming the trigger for an old, deeply rooted prejudice. What happens when your innocence is turned into a crime? Not by the law, but by someone determined to see you as guilty. It was a sunny afternoon in a quiet suburban neighborhood when Deshaun Williams, a 32-year-old software engineer, pulled into his driveway. His new car, a sleek black Tesla, gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of his hard work and success. Deshaun smiled as he stepped out, proud of what the car represented. But little did he know, someone else had noticed his achievement, and not in the way he'd hoped. From across the street, Karen Miller, a middle-aged white woman with a perfectly manicured lawn and a scowl that seemed permanently etched on her face, watched through her living room window. Her eyes narrowed. To her, it wasn't just a car, it was a question. It was an accusation. How could he afford that? Asterisk, asterisk, she thought. And then, even more insidiously, did he steal it? Without hesitation, Karen grabbed her phone. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of self-imposed righteousness. She dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Karen's voice was sharp, like she'd been rehearsing for this moment her entire life. Yes, I need to report a crime. My neighbor, a black man, I just saw him driving a brand new car, and I know he didn't buy it. I'm sure he stole it. He's acting suspicious. But here's the question. What was so suspicious? Was it the car? Or the man behind the wheel? Why does the sight of a successful black man provoke fear in some people? Deshaun's arrival and Karen's suspicion asterisk asterisk. Unaware of the storm brewing across the street, Deshaun entered his home, feeling a sense of relief. It had been a long day at work and all he wanted to do was relax, maybe call his fiancée, Jada, and tell her about the great deal he got on the Tesla. But peace would have to wait. 10 minutes later, a loud, authoritative knock sounded at his door. Firm. Unmistakable. What would you do if the police showed up at your door, not because you did something wrong, but because someone assumed you did? Deshaun opened the door to find 2 police officers standing there, their hands resting on their belts. Behind them, Karen stood on her porch, arms crossed and a cold, victorious look on her face. Good afternoon, officers. Deshaun greeted them, calm but wary. The tension in the air was palpable. Sir, we received a report about a possible stolen vehicle, one of the officers said, his gaze shifting to the Tesla in the driveway. Deshaun frowned, confused. Stolen? That's my car. How does one prove their innocence when their only crime is being black in the wrong person's eyes? The officers exchanged a look. One pulled out a notepad, while the other subtly shifted his stance, as if preparing for something to go wrong. Do you have proof of ownership? The first officer asked. Deshaun's pulse quickened. He could tell this wasn't a standard traffic stop. This was something much bigger. He nodded. Yeah, let me grab the paperwork. But as he turned to go inside, Karen's voice cut through the air like a blade. Why are you letting him go inside? He could be grabbing a weapon. I told you, he's up to no good. How quickly do the scales of suspicion tip when fear replaces reason? How dangerous does a black man become in a society conditioned to see him as a threat? The officers tensed. One of them raised a hand. Hold on, sir. Step back, please. Deshaun froze. This was it, asterisk, the moment star. One wrong move, one misinterpreted action, and everything could change. Why is it, he wondered silently, that in some situations, the truth doesn't matter as much as the perception of guilt? Slowly, he raised his hands. I'm just getting my registration. It's in the house. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The officers hesitated. Karen's words had planted seeds of doubt and fear, even though Deshaun had done nothing to warrant suspicion. After what felt like an eternity, one of the officers nodded. Go ahead, but make it quick. Karen's persistence, asterisk, asterisk, Deshaun disappeared into his home, returning moments later with the paperwork in hand. His heart pounded as he handed it to the officers. They verified the documents in silence. Finally, one officer spoke. Everything checks out. You're free to go. But was it that simple? Was Deshawn truly free, or had Karen's call placed invisible chains on him, making him forever suspicious in the eyes of authority? As the officers prepared to leave, Karen wasn't ready to let it go. "Wait," she shouted, stepping forward. "Aren't you going to arrest him? Search the car? He's hiding something, I know it. How many times must a black man prove his innocence before he's believed?" The officers exchanged a glance before one of them spoke firmly. "Ma'am, he hasn't done anything wrong. The car is his." Karen's face twisted in frustration. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She had called the police to be the hero of her own story. But now, the narrative was slipping out of her control. Her voice trembled with rage. "This isn't over," she hissed, before storming back to her house. Deshawn's reflection as the officers left. Deshawn stood alone in his driveway. The Tesla behind him no longer felt like a symbol of accomplishment. It felt like a reminder of everything he was up against, a constant target for someone else's prejudice. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was Jada. "How's the new car?" she asked cheerfully. Deshawn glanced at Karen's house, her curtains shifting slightly as she peeked out. He took a deep breath. "It's fine," he said softly. "Just fine." But was it really fine? Would it ever be fine, as long as people like Karen existed, ready to turn someone's success into suspicion, their joy into a threat? How many more times will it take before we demand real change?